Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's D.A.
All right, welcome inside the freshest edition of the Permission Granted podcast, everybody. One more reminder that this is all off of the air stuff that you're hearing on the PGP. We always post this on iTunes and on our Facebook page as well, facebook.com/The DA Show. We put it on YouTube, youtube.com/The DA Show. It looks just like the rest of all of our podcasts, but you'll see the PGP and the number behind it so that you know it's not a normal show. It's all off the air stuff. So Mraz will join me coming up in a little bit, and then also James Ward later on in the podcast. And right now, we welcome on an actor, a writer, a comedian. You've seen him on Bravo TV's Odd Mom Out, on Showtime's Happy-ish as well. Actor, writer, comedian, producer, and activist Sean Kleier joining us here on the show. Sean, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, my man. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, you've got a role in the new movie coming out here, The Intern, with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. Big name stars in this, all across the cast. That must have been so cool for you.
Oh man, that's incredible. Being near those people. Are you kidding me? Robert De Niro. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. How was it to be around a guy like De Niro, kind of watching him do his craft?
Honestly, it's just like that. You sit and just observe and try to soak it in. The guy is such a consummate professional. He would be sitting in a chair reading a newspaper between takes. The camera would roll. He'd be nowhere to be found. And then as soon as people would hop into their lines, he shows up on set and executes everything perfectly. It was kind of like clockwork. Really strange.
So from a sports metaphor standpoint, it's like a guy in the huddle who looks like he doesn't know what the play is, and he's going through it in his head. You're like, did you get the play? Did you get the play? He's like, yeah, I got it. Fine, I got it. Are you listening? Yeah, I got it. He goes to the line of scrimmage, and bing, it's like a 70-yard touchdown. He runs everything perfectly.
Right, yeah. It was the most infuriating person to play against, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
That's awesome.
And Anne Hathaway, I guess then she'd be like the Russell Wilson. She's like young, everything seems to be improvised, and it all ends up like happening perfectly in the end.
That's a good one. That's a perfect metaphor for her.
It's not too bad, right? I'm trying.
Yeah, there you go. So star on the come, although already arrived, Anne Hathaway. Looks like it's really easy, just comes really easy to her.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It's like she's never working at all, which is pretty incredible. Makes it look so much easier than it is. And so for the rest of us who are like sweating it on set, just like, damn, how did she figure that out?
Yeah, that's the frustrating part, right? Where you're like grinding and then somebody walks in, just has all that natural talent, and then it comes off so easy.
You're like, exactly. Can you give me a little bit of that, please?
Sprinkle that pixie dust on me a little bit. So
right.
You cut your teeth doing improv and stand-up all across the New York City comedy scene. Which one of those is tougher?
I gotta say stand-up.
Yeah.
You know, not only is it personal and direct criticism, you know, immediately. Either people laugh or they don't, and you're hearing it. But the grind of the scene, the nights it requires you to spend out in bars and clubs all over the city, every night, sometimes 2, 3, 4 shows, and then open mics, it wears you out. You know, it really wears you out.
Yeah, because I got to imagine show after show and having to kind of bring everything to the table. You got to dump all of your bag of tricks on the table just for anything, and to do it over and over and over again. It's got to be maddening, right? It's got to feel like you're locked in a box or something.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, what works on the Lower East Side doesn't work on the Upper West.
Yeah.
Or you have to change the game up slightly depending on your crowd. So you have to really learn the nuance, and it takes forever. They say you're only as old as the years you've been doing it. So, you know, I did it heavily for 4 years. That made me still a toddler.
Yeah. So how demoralizing can that be when you're starting to do it and you're not getting nearly the response you feel like you should, even though you've poured all this work into it?
Oh, man, it's crushing. But it's the best thing for you. You know, nothing prepares you for future success like current failure. You know, if I didn't fail so hard then, I don't think I would have the nerve to do a lot of the things that I do now. I don't know why I kept going at it. Some sort of perverse self-harm that I was enjoying or something, but it worked out. It worked out.
So you also have done a lot of stuff with online comedy like Funny or Die, and that's such a burgeoning, exploding platform and piece of the industry. How interesting is it to be part of that where it doesn't have to go through the old traditional ways that Hollywood used to work?
Oh, it's awesome. We all grew up watching SNL, and these people were making brilliant sketches. Everybody wanted to do the same but had no access to it. And now you make something and put it online, it can be seen by millions of people if the content is good and if it gives people a reason to share it. It's a different avenue for marketing yourself or for getting a message out there, for that matter. So the playing field kind of levels.
Was there an actor or a character on SNL that you kind of related most to and could derive some of that when you do some of the Funny or Die stuff or the online stuff that you've done?
Oh, man, I like thinking of all the guys that influenced me.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, Chris Farley, I couldn't stop watching. That might be feel like a canned answer, but his physical humor was just so magical. I don't know how he did it. He's so freaking funny. So I couldn't possibly channel that, but it's in me somewhere. I don't think I consciously try, but I've seen so much of his stuff, and I always loved it that it shows up somewhere, you know?
Yeah, well, with the SNL 40, there was a lot of retrospectives on TV. You got to see a lot of old stuff and online as well. And I remember loving Farley when he was doing it live, and then going back a couple months ago and watching him again going, boy, I forgot how magnetic it was. I forgot just how good it was. I think Farley actually is one of those guys that the stuff that he does is even better now than it was then. Yeah,
somehow time passes and you wonder, were they really that good, or did they reach that status because they were taken from us soon? He really was that good. You know, he really was.
You actually grew up in Kentucky, and I'm wondering, did you end up being a big Wildcats fan, big UK fan?
No, man. I'm from Louisville.
Whoa,
Blasphemy.
Okay,
Get
all
that
right.
away from me.
You're a Cardinals, okay. You're a Cardinals guy.
I could have enjoyed the Final Four this year more.
I was going to say,
amazing.
What was it like to be a Louisville fan watching Kentucky march towards immortality?
It was absolutely dreadful and loathsome. That's why I left the state. Listen, anytime we get anywhere in the tournament, Kentucky kicks us out. Thank God we won a few years ago. That's the first championship of any of my teams I've seen in my lifetime. But Kentucky owns us. They own us in the series. So, you know, it felt like inevitability. And when Frank Comiskey put him down, I couldn't have been happier.
You know, there's a whole bunch of Kentucky national champion T-shirts that were sent to Haiti, and so I think you should go down there. And go grab one for yourself, you and all your Louisville friends.
Oh my God, I could turn such a profit selling those in Louisville.
What are the other teams that have tortured you throughout your life?
Oh man, every team I've ever been a fan of. So get this, my mother was a Bengal in the late 60s, early 70s for a couple seasons.
Wow.
So I was unfortunate enough to inherit Bengals lineage.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, when you have a completely incompetent franchise that ruins your Sunday for 6 months out of the year, I tend to be pretty grumpy from September to December, and then rarely into January too, but it's only for 1 week.
Right, exactly. You only have the misery for one Saturday or Sunday in the wild card round.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. So, all right, so our listeners can check you out coming up in the new movie, The Intern, which is coming up here, and Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway both star in that. When is that scheduled for release?
Late fall, I believe. They keep bouncing around dates, but it's going to be sometime in October as of now.
And then also on Showtime, Happiest. This series has gotten such good buzz, such good run. That must have been a lot of fun to be a part of as well.
No, it's incredible. Catherine Hahn and Steve Coogan, some really legendary actors, and a really unique plot line with some great writing. So that was an awesome project to book.
Sean Kleier joining us here on the show, so look for him there. Bravo TV's Odd Mom Out. You can see him there as well. Follow him on Twitter at Sean Kleier. And like we mentioned before, The Intern, the movie coming out sometime in the fall with De Niro and Hathaway. Hey, Sean, this was a lot of fun to catch up. Let's do it again when the movie comes out.
Would love it.
Thanks to Sean Kleier for joining us here on the Permission Granted podcast. Mraz joins me now. And Mraz, I think Trash Tuesday is starting to pick up some steam here.
I love it. 2.5 years on the DA show. This is probably my favorite segment we've done to date.
Because now, when I'm going through my week, I will make a mental note of something that's really aggravating me, and I know that I can just vent about it on Tuesday.
I do the same thing. It's actually warped me in many ways because, let's face it, a lot of our listeners aren't in New York City. There's a lot of things in New York City that aggravate me. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to bother trashing that because nobody will get it. I'm thinking about what I'm trashing all week because I realize there's a lot of things that bother me. I'll go through like 12 things throughout the week and I'll make mental notes and I'll tell myself whether they're relevant to anybody listening or not. It's pretty sickening after 2 weeks that that's how I'm thinking.
This was our third Trash Tuesday this past week, and I felt like we turned a corner because we started venting, and then the phone lines just lit up. It was like it lit a fuse, and everybody had something to vent about.
With funny stuff. With absolute funny
Good stuff.
You know, people with more than 10 items on the express line. The left-hand lane guy. And then some guy who actually thought it was okay to park in a handicap spot. Which,
yeah.
You know what's great about Trash Tuesday? Like, that guy did that. That could happen now going forward, where somebody, who's guilty of doing that's being trashed now calls back to rebuttal.
Being trashed,
right?
Yes, the subject of the trash.
To defend themselves, which I think that could spawn, and this could be a really, really big hit.
Billy Giacalone has had in the first 3 weeks 2 huge victories on Trash Tuesday.
Unbelievable. He came out smoking with the pens. It was funny, and he's getting more comfortable. And then this time with the friend with the pharmaceutical company and getting passed over and reading the definition of seniority, he brought it. And you know what? Billy Giacalone's kind of like he's a delicate egg, if you will.
Yes.
We're the chickens in the nest. He's the egg.
Yeah.
He cracked out of the egg and became a man on Trash Tuesday, which I really, really like. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think that Billy's 2 out of 3 have been pretty legendary. And when he said, my friend thought it was the light at the end of the tunnel, but it was just an oncoming train. And then he said, I'm out, bye.
He dropped a drop in there, too.
I mean, pretty amazing.
That's a solid job. You can't listen. Giacalone will forever be entrusted. He's our third wide receiver.
Yeah.
One of these guys you love having on the roster, and he's coming to his own.
Yeah, Trash Tuesday has been a big victory. We come to the end of our flag football season. The Young Guns year ends last Sunday on a 35-28 final score. It was a barn burner, back and forth we went.
LIFFL Classic. They'll be replaying that on the network for years.
Was that the Monstars we played?
No, it was not the Monstars. That was the team we played 2 weeks ago. This week was the All Up In Ya.
All Up In Ya.
Yeah, they were all up in us at the end.
Yeah, they were all up in us. So our season ends in the playoffs, but I will say I really trashed your general managing. I trashed your coaching and your coordinator abilities all season long.
Yes, you did.
By the end, I was pretty proud of our team.
I was too.
A lot of character on that team.
Right.
Never gave up.
We were never a team full of a bunch of Pro Bowlers. Now, don't get me wrong, we had some flashy players. But overall, it was a heart and soul team, which I liked. A team that would dig in. And in this playoff game alone, we trailed by 2 touchdowns. We were down like 20-7 at one point.
Yeah.
And we just kept fighting and clawing back. Then we, gave up a touchdown a minute and a half. That's the heart of a champion. I was proud of my guys for that. I really was.
Yeah, it ended up being a group of good guys who really wanted it. And maybe the guy that we talked about all season, our kind of Calvin Johnson, our Megatron, DJ, was injured for the postseason. And so we were hamstrung. But everybody kind of lifted up their game. And
next man up.
Rise to the occasion, and we fell just short. But you know what? There was a lot, very high compete level, a lot of want on that roster.
I've played in flag football leagues for 12 years.
Okay.
This is a top 2 heart team I've ever played on.
Is that right?
Yes, no doubt about it. Because you have a lot of teams that would just, I've been on some really, really good teams that just kind of rely on, we're just good. And we just kind of don't care, but we're going to beat anybody. This team cared so much.
Yeah.
And even when we went through our losing streak, our long losing streak in the middle of the year, guys were missing games and stuff like that. I got that feeling from guys around like, they were angry because they cared and they just wanted to win. It made me very proud. I was a proud papa of this organization.
I realized something a little scary. I knew early in the season, we joked about this, that I was a little old for the league.
Right. Yeah. No. You're on the back half.
I was on the back 9.
Right.
That in the first exhibition game, I realized most of these guys were in their early to mid 20s.
Right, and they're flying around.
Some of you guys that you grew up together in late 20s.
Right.
But I was 35, going to turn 36 this weekend.
You're an old rookie.
I was
There's
a
no
real
doubt
old
about
rookie.
it.
Yeah, real old rookie.
Brandon Whedon, like, in many ways.
Yeah. And I played like a bum at times this season. By the end of it, though, I felt like I was getting into a rhythm and that I knew what I was looking for, playing corner, little slot receiver like a Danny Amendola. And then we had our playoff game, and I made a couple of plays, got beat on a couple of others, but that's going to happen. You're going to have a short memory.
That happens with every corner in the NFL, too.
So I was like, I'd love to play again. I don't know if time will permit in the fall because of football constraints. But then I looked, and we were talking about Sean Marion last night.
Right.
And one of our callers really thought that David Blatt should be fired because Sean Marion didn't get enough run in the finals. He never played.
Well, the guy has no legs left.
And I said, do you realize that Sean Marion's going to retire because he can't play basketball anymore? And the guy's like, he still has a little bit left in him. He's 37. I realized
year behind him.
I'm a year behind Sean Marion, and Sean Marion can't walk anymore. Sean Marion, now granted, the Long Island Flag Football
A little
League,
different than the NBA.
Different than the NBA, but again, that's where your mortality is. That's the line. I asked my cousin if he wanted to play, really good athlete. He was a state champion competitive diver in our high school.
Wow, that's interesting.
He played in our high school football team. And I said, do you want to play? He's like, dude, we're too old. I don't want to tear anything. I don't want to break anything. And I said,
Sad.
come on. You're acting like we're like 49 or 59. You could go out there. But I realized that I was a gray hair in that league.
You definitely were. But you know what? You evolved, too. I almost think from your standpoint, you sit there, you do the NFL top 10s, you host a show, you talk a lot of football. I feel like you learned a lot more about the game of football in the last 10 weeks playing flag football. You learned coverages. You learned, the right way for a corner to play, turn the hips. You learned proper routes as a slot receiver. I think you've evolved behind the mic now. I think you'll be even better at analyzing football next season.
Not a bad theory. We'll see when September rolls around if I'm able to break down the zone versus the man coverage a little bit easier.
Let's be honest. You didn't fully understand cover 2 back in, February. Now you do.
Now you know it. I know it.
It's been drilled into you. So I think you're going to be better in the job because of what you've done on the flag football field.
It was interesting that on Sunday you said you were going to come out in pass situations as our kind of tight end.
Boy, that plan slipped out.
You never came out.
I think I let you in once.
I never got in a wide receiver. But
once.
One play.
One play.
One play. I ran one round.
Well, to be fair, there were a couple scenarios where the third down was very short, and that's my territory. Linebacker blitzes, that's the guy covering me. I'm free release over the middle. That's kind of my spot. And also on some of those third and longs, our quarterback Mando Roethlisberger wanted me to kind of be extra protection, if you will, pick up the free blitzer. So there were times like that. The game plan changed. Okay, what happened on Wednesday changed come Sunday.
Okay, I will say now that the NBA Finals are over. The summer is officially here. These are the dog days, the official dog days.
Real dog days.
And we don't have a real sporting event until week 1 of the college football season.
Labor Day weekend,
Because that happens 1 week before the NFL. Not outside of baseball, of course. Now, baseball is going to be played every day. We have the All-Star game, but
they still have a month to go by the time college football kicks. Like, you don't even really get soaked into those pennant races until then.
No, right, exactly. So I'm saying that now it's the next big sporting event will be Labor Day weekend.
It's incredible.
That's 2.5 months. That's a while away. So I like this time of year because it calms down. We reset.
Mental break.
It really is. It's nice. I actually like this time of year, but I know there's a lot of sports fans, especially if you don't like baseball. And I love baseball, but there's a lot of sports fans that are like, this is the worst. These are the absolute worst sports days. I love baseball, but this is now the dark days up until Labor Day weekend.
I'll say this, too, from a show standpoint, for everybody listening to the DA show. This might be and it's going to shock a lot of people, my favorite 2 months coming up here.
Interesting.
Because I feel like on the show itself, the show becomes less serious, not that it's ever serious, and more fun in these 2 months. Because you're not firmly breaking down anything.
No, that's exactly right. It's going to get real creative. It always does.
Some of the kookiest stuff happens.
No question. The heart of summer is where you can really throw some stuff against the wall and see if it sticks.
Definitely.
And we tend to throw a lot of stuff against the
A
wall.
lot of stuff down against the wall. So hey, I think it's going to be a fun 2 months coming up on the show. We'll figure it out.
We might do a Trash Thursday and a Trash Friday to go along with Trash Tuesday.
We'll have to trash every day.
Trash every day. All right, so you got Ward coming up here?
Yes, we have Jimmy Ward coming up, and we're going to talk about the big shindig coming up at your house that we talked about with Brock last week, and whether something's going to go down in your bathroom.
The Birthday 36 comes to my place coming up on Saturday, and we'll have a recap next week. I'm a little worried. My girlfriend heard you mention that you were going to trash the bathroom on the show.
Oh, no.
She's not thrilled about that idea.
So now she hates me.
She doesn't hate you.
But
She
she's
actually-
getting there now.
She likes you, but she said, I might have to have a talk with Sean on Saturday.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, you called your shot.
An upper decker is going to go down one way or another. I don't care what kind of defense. I'm going to be like LeBron. I'm penetrating.
That's so disgusting. So abhorrent.
Has to happen. You want me to eat chicken nuggets and hot dogs? This is the ultimate revenge.
This is payback.
This is payback.
This is what I have to look forward to. All right, so coming up on Monday, there will be an opening as the executive producer of the DA show. Send in your resumes. All right, coming up next here, Mraz talks to James Ward of the Permission Granted podcast.
All right, welcome into Side B of the Permission Granted podcast. I'm your executive producer, Sean Mraz, joined by the associate producer of the DA show, James Ward. James, who we haven't had on in a couple weeks. James, welcome back to the pod.
Well, thank you for welcoming me back. I'm not really sure why I've been out for so long, but thanks for having me.
You got benched.
I did get benched. Let's say it like it is. I did get benched.
Well, listen, what's done is done. No, it was nothing like that. It was just kind of a wacky order. Steve-O left, which is what we have to talk about, and then things just kind of got shuffled out of the mix. We had Berman, we had Kenny, the whole deal. Have I spoken to you since Steve-O left, really, about your thoughts on his departure?
No, we have not had that discussion.
Your thoughts on his new job?
Of course, I want to wish Steve-O good luck in his new endeavors. Let's be honest, I think the new hire will do a little bit better job than Steve.
Okay, well, now for our staff who doesn't know, there was a lot of mixing and matching and a lot of shuffling of people. There were interviews. This was going to be an in-house hire for the guy to take over Steve-O's job, which is to be on the Wheels of Steel 3 nights a week on the DA show, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, while James does Wednesday and Thursday. Finally, the hire is in. He's been shadowing this week, and his name is Jodi, or we're going to always mispronounce his last name. That's why we call him Jodi. Joe, let me give this a shot, James. Hold on. It's not Dalawizo.
No.
Joe Dialacio? Joe
No.
Dialawizo.
No, and it's funny because it's another Italian last name that starts with a D. And if you think about it, we got Tom DiCelestino, who runs
Right.
the Wheels of Steel for the Gottlieb and the Rome show from
Right.
New York. We got Tom DiBenedetto, who produces After Hours with Amy Lawrence on the Overnight.
And that's DiBenedetto.
DiBenedetto.
Okay, because I always called him Tom DiBenedetto.
And then the new assistant producer of the DA show 3 nights a week is Joe Deloisio.
Joe Deloisio.
Joe Deloisio.
Joe Deloisio.
And his name is actually Giuseppe, too.
Oh, his real name is
His
Giuseppe?
real name is Giuseppe. He
Like-
is very Italian.
Hold on, like Giuseppe, like Geuesseppi, Giuseppe?
Yeah,
But he just goes by Joe, Joe.
yeah. I mean, how would you go if you're...
So his license has like a name that starts with a G, but he's
I'm not sure if Joe D's license has a Giuseppe on it.
We're going to have to ask him about this. That's interesting. Well, James, you've worked... Here's the truth about Joe D. Joe D was an intern with CBS Sports Radio, I guess a year ago. Does that sound right? A year ago?
Yes. I was
Okay.
actually talking to him about it last night. He signed his papers to work here part-time last summer.
Okay, so less than a year, pretty much. Almost a year he's been here. That's irrelevant. Did a good job part-time. We have a lot of these part-timers who were up for jobs, good part-timers, guys like Billy Giacalone, Greg Schneider, all these guys.
The Schneid.
The Schneid, it's tough. You work with these guys, and they all, want to get in the mix full-time. And when one of these jobs opens, it's like, the shark circling the boat, everybody looking to get in. And, luck of the draw, this ends up being Joe D's time.
It's sort of like winning the lottery.
Well,
I mean, I get to
not as great a
work
payout, I'll
with
tell you
you
that
2
much.
nights a week. I get to run the ship on the weekends. It's kind of like winning the lottery.
you're talking about you?
Yeah.
How
Well,
is-
and Joe, too. Joe is now
Joe
Joe
winning
now
the
is a
lottery?
lottery winner.
Well-
and I more so mean that these jobs don't really open up that
True.
often.
Right, because his
So
bank
when
account is going to look nothing like a lottery winner.
Right. When the job opens up, you got a lot of guys going for it. But, yeah,
Right.
it's not exactly like you're winning for life.
Oh, believe me. When I got the full-time DA show producer gig when CBS Sports Radio started, that too felt like winning the lottery. I thought I had no chance because I was a lonely sandwich artist with part-time WFAN New York local radio experience. But hey, it all worked out. And who's a better producer than me?
All right, so we got Biseglia in the morning.
We're not going to count
We got Hampter in the afternoon. We have, the 5 or 6 different producers on the Rome show.
We can't
We
get
got
into
Klug,
that.
we got Gracia, we got Di Celestino.
Here we go. So you rank me in the bottom of the wrong. Now, for Jodi, since you know him well, what do you think he's going to bring to the table here?
Jodi's going to bring a lot to the table because I think he's a little younger, so he's more
Motivated?
Not
like Berman, who's basically given up on life?
He is probably the opposite of the bitter Berman.
Which is unbelievable.
He's a different guy.
Well,
So
you know what?
he's going to
This
be very
place needs
motivated to do well, and I think that'll help.
This place needs a little positive reinforcement, and I think that'll be good for everybody. Now, speaking of Jodi, speaking of you, speaking of the entire staff, DA is really pushing for the 3rd annual Wienership Challenge here. Really wants it to happen. We want to get Badlands Booker back in here. I got to be honest, I'm probably the one who least wants this to happen. I think that was very evident on the show this week.
And I don't understand, because your last moment in an eating challenge situation, you shined. Like, you were...
Right, but
you
I
talked
wanted
the
that
big
to be
game
my last
and
moment.
you dominated.
But I wanted that to be my last moment. I wanted to dominate. I wanted to go out on top. And just knowing that I felt like crap after.
Like Michael Jordan three-peat.
Right.
And then forget the whole Wizards years ever happened.
100%.
Like, this Wienership Challenge would be like
forever.
your Washington Wizards years.
Exactly. But I get it. The fans are going to want it because on the overnight, when you weren't with us and it was Kenny, it was a raging success when we did the Wienership Challenge both years. The first year we did it, Schwartz talked a big game. I put on the show, the whole hot dog costume. And the second year to get a real competitive eater, live in studio on the overnight, by the way, was almost unbelievable.
And you had Badlands Booker coming in at what time?
I believe we did it at 5 a.m. Eastern.
Wow.
And he came in at 5 a.m. Eastern.
So he probably woke up maybe 3 o'clock in the morning,
right,
Eastern time,
right, which is crazy. But he also works in New York. His other job, handling the subways and stuff. So he's used to crazy hours. But in talking with the competitive eater people today, I could tell you there have been emails exchanged, and they seem very interested in making the remake, if you will, having Badlands come in here and flex his muscle again. Now, we're still working out the details of how exactly the contest is going to go. I won't reveal any secrets as to, I'll let DA handle that on the show, if you will. But if Badlands Booker gets in here, and I got to see this guy eat, and I'm being forced to eat, I don't know if I'm going to be able to perform under pressure in the way I did the chicken challenge. I think that's what I'm worried about.
But let's face it, we have to make it competitive because Badlands Booker can out-eat anyone. He is a professional eater.
But again, just because
you are in a league of your own as far as us normal cats, but you are not a competitive eater the way that Badlands Booker is a competitive eater.
Listen, you could be the best wiffle ball player in your neighborhood. Does that mean you could step onto the field and strike out Alex Rodriguez?
I mean, if you get that filthy wiffle ball curveball going,
it ain't happening.
It's got the 12-6 drop.
It's not happening. That's why it's tough when you bring this guy in here.
Very side note. When you throw those wiffle ball curveballs in the summer, your arm really hurts the next day.
Oh, no question. Your elbow feels shut. You feel like you need Tommy John, like you threw too many pitches. 4th of July is coming. Be careful. That's another 4th of July tie-in. Yeah. Hot dogs and wiffle ball.
Hot dogs and wiffle ball doesn't get much better than that.
No, now I really want a hot dog and I really want to play wiffle ball.
Do you have 4th of July plans?
Yes, I do. I usually do a 4th of July shindig at my house, my parents' house, if you will. My apartment, 6 houses down, is well documented. The pool's open. We usually do the wiffle ball with the whole block because everybody in the street, we have a nice dead-end neighborhood. They all stay home, and there's a big neighborhood wiffle ball game like we were just talking about. Hot dogs, the whole deal, and then a bunch of us have fireworks, not legally, if you will, and goes blast off. Why, you 4th of July guy?
No, I mean, I spent the last... On my way to work, I had a conversation with my girlfriend about what we were doing on 4th of July, and we were both kind of on the fence about what we're doing. We don't know what to do with the dog. Are we going to leave the city? Are we going to go to my parents' house?
Well, here's the thing with dog. First of all, you're more than welcome to come by me. You're interested in the wiffle ball. You're more than welcome. I know Long Island's a little trek for you. But here's the problem with the dog. Like, you're talking about leaving the dog. It's like 4th of July and Halloween. I don't know what the heck is wrong with dogs. Those are the 2 days they are, shaken. Hiding under desks. They can't take the sound of the fireworks. They think the world's coming to an end. Halloween, they see everybody walk up with masks. They freak out there, too. 363 days of the year, a dog is usually solid. Occasionally they'll go pee-pees on the floor, something like that. But it's those 2 days for whatever reason. It's like you can't leave him alone. It's unbelievable. Is your dog going to be like that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he's going to act. He's very well behaved. We live in Manhattan, so he's around noise all the time.
Right.
But he's sort of a little baby. Like you pull out
All
shopping bags and he's like terrified.
Dogs are, I don't understand that with dogs. They're great. And my dogs are, Pomeranians, great dogs, the whole thing. You want them to be watchdogs, too. They're the first ones hiding underneath a table, something like that. They're the ones passed out in the middle of the night, snoring. Don't even hear me come home from work at times. Not even the protectors of the house. But, yeah, that was a side note. We got off there. But the 4th of July with the dogs, it's rough leaving dogs alone. But, hey, if you have nothing to do on 4th of July, come on out. We'll throw you a couple wiffle balls.
All right.
All right. What else did I want to get into here quickly before this wraps up here? We had the Jodi stuff. We had the wiffle balls. Oh, speaking of 4th of July and plans and stuff, this weekend, big deal. We are going to DA's apartment for a little birthday celebration, a birth DA celebration.
A birth DA celebration.
Right. Last week on the Permission Granted podcast, me and Brock discussed this. So the lineup going to DA's from here, you're going, I'm going. Looks like Kenny Brock is going to go. And Bitter Berman will be there as well. I'm not sure if anybody else will be there, but that is kind of the base core. So we'll all be there. And it is a big deal because for all of us, we've never been to DA's, what do you call it, an abode? Abode? I don't know what it's called.
Can you keep trying?
Limbode?
Try again.
Royal Humbode?
Try again.
Imbode. Dimbode.
No.
Umbode? Humbode?
A humble abode.
A humble abode. Okay, yeah.
A humble abode.
We've never been to DA's humble abode, and we get a chance to do that this weekend. And the ironic part is he's doing this party on his rooftop, which is pretty cool. He's got a Brooklyn rooftop, so we won't actually go into DA's apartment per se and hang there. We'll be on top of the roof. But as I mentioned to Kenny, it's got to be bombs away in that bathroom and let DA know we have arrived, right?
Now, you found out last night that there would be an ice cream cake.
Oh, my God, yeah. And, I mean, he's getting catered from...
There's going to be a lot of good food there.
Man. That might be DA's own undoing.
Because you're looking forward to going in the bathroom so badly. That's like your highlight of the night.
Because how...
Doesn't matter. You're going to be hanging out with some of your friends.
Because
you got a lovely food situation. You got drinks. You got outdoor activities. No, you're more interested in going to the bathroom in DA's house.
There's no doubt. And here's the thing. I consider DA one of my best friends. Not just my, host to producer relationship, or what you get on the air with us having fun back and forth. That's how we are in person. We're really good friends. So, all that aside, I've missed opportunities to go. I've been invited there before, as I mentioned last week. But this is the first chance I get to go to DA's home residence. He's been to mine. He's actually slept over, block parties and such like that. I need to see what this place is like. And it's got to be bombs. I got to christen it because... I got to come back with a Pooh Bear story. How do I not?
Oh, I tell you how you don't. You just don't.
Will he hire security to watch that bathroom door and not let me?
The door will be locked.
Well, somebody's going to have to go at some point.
No.
What are we, taking leaks over the roof here?
There might be a rooftop bathroom situation.
No, there will not be a rooftop. Where do you think we're going?
You're not making it to the bathroom, I promise you.
I promise you I will. Well, that's a tease. You're going to have to listen to next week's Permission Granted podcast to find out if I ever made it into DA's bathroom.
Coming up next week, we figure out if Mraz went to the bathroom at DA's house.
Exact. That will come up next week. That's going to do it for the Permission Granted podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at MrazCBS. James, give us your Twitter.
My Twitter handle is JamesWardCBS.
So, yes, follow us on Twitter Saturday night because we could have some updates on whether bombs away happen in DA's bathroom. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, we'll let you know next week on the Permission Granted podcast. Thank you guys always for listening. We'll catch you. Have a great weekend.